Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Samuel Langhorne Clemens, also known as Mark Twain, said this, and how true it is. Politicians and diapers must be changed often, and for the same reason. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Real Live Patriot. Come on, Real Live Patriots, call in. Good morning with the pledge. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, right here at the Zeb at the Ranch studio, and thank you very much for tuning in with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Clean, safe environment and the best in tires at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Also, I'd like to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Let's go to the phone line right now and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, I have got so many things to talk about this morning, and I know you're going to be calling back, but I thank you for an excellent job on the Pledge of Allegiance, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. You can't miss them. They're on the Burley Paul Highway, and I tell you what, they've got a huge front yard just full of tools and equipment for you. Don't forget, they've got all the power rakes, all the garden and lawn equipment. They've got all the rototillers. They've got everything you need to make your place look spiffy this spring and summer. So get over there or give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
The spring storm system is going to be sticking around for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies, few rain showers, maybe some thunder bumpers by this afternoon, and it is going to be a little bit on the breezy side. High of 61. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By tomorrow, looks like a 50% chance of showers, mostly in the afternoon. Clouds are going to stick around as well with a high of 61. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By Friday, we will see some sunshine and a high of 63. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. 45 degrees outside the Zeb Bell studio right now, and our thanks to K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, as I said, on the Burley Paul Highway. They have the best in tools and equipment for rental, both long and short term. If you can't run over there, give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Tomorrow is the big day, and I just, you know, folks, you've always supported my program. You've always supported different things that we do. And I'm asking that you support our Denny's parking lot picnic tomorrow at 611 North Overland in Burley. We need to get things open. We need to help our people stay open and in business. And we're going to have that parking lot picnic tomorrow from 11:30 to 1 at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Thomas and Michelle, the whole crew, they're going to have the picnic picnic special of a club sandwich with fries and a fountain drink, and I just urge you to come on in, drive in, find a parking spot, and they'll run out, bring you your order, you pay for it, we'll honk horns at each other and have a good time, okay? Parking lot picnic tomorrow at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Another big shout-out, too, to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and I just absolutely am appreciative of all the time and the effort they put into staying with us over the many, many, many years on this program. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They get there early in the morning, 2 at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and it's not bragging, it's a fact. They have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and the knowledge and the skill. They've been in business almost 7 decades. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, they have this new, no, it's not a new tax. There's always been a tax on packages. But now, Congress is proposing a 400% increase in a package tax. Now, if you think that doesn't affect you, you're wrong, because everybody is going to be affected by it, because if they get a package, you're the one that's going to pay for it because they're going to pass the cost on to you. So call your congressman, Sleepy Mike Simpson.
Well, there's no doubt in the world that this is just another attempt to raise and garner money for almost what seems to be a lost cause. I am livid about paying 400% more on packages. It's going to absolutely cripple the delivery and the package process to rural America and businesses. They can't afford it. They can't pass that on to the consumers. I mean, pass it on to the guy that's paying. Pass it on to the guy that's paying. Pretty soon the guy that's paying, he's passed out. I mean, you just can't do this.
You know, we're just being taxed to death. And they have thought this out thoroughly, knowing that this is a tax that you cannot fight. In other words, it's a necessity tax in their eyes.
Well, yeah, it's almost the same as what's on gasoline. You need to get a gallon of gas to go from point A to point B, and they know they can stick whatever on there as far as taxation is concerned, because you have to have that gas to go to the doctor, go to the grocery store, go anywhere. And so it's one of those taxes that they can just sit back and say, gotcha, dude, you can't do a thing about it.
Well, instead of doing that, why don't they try to create more of an economy so we don't have to have these high taxes?
Well, I'll tell you what, we had a booming economy, Keith. We had a booming economy 2 months ago. 2 months ago, you and I were sitting here on the radio, and we were absolutely in high clover. Let me tell you, this economy was booming, stock market riding the crest where it's never been before. Everybody's boat was floating, and then all of a sudden, gee whiz, isn't it funny? Our economy crashes, and everybody points the finger at President Trump for the coronavirus, and it just seems like one more little finger in the pie to dirty up everything prior to the election in November.
Yeah, and the problem is the Democrats are wanting to keep places closed.
Yeah.
Because they want to make Trump look bad.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that as the morning goes along. Keith, I agree with you over this package test and everything, or tax, I should say, pardon me, and thank you for your call to kind of set the pace this morning, old buddy. I appreciate it.
To hear your voice again after yesterday.
I was not happy yesterday. I need to be informed about things that are going on, and we were all set to go on the air, and all of a sudden it was a oops, and things like that I'm not happy about, but hopefully it's going to be repaired. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. God bless you.
Well, I'd like to add just one thing to that. You know, finally I give up on K-Bar and went about my duties and everything, so I don't even know when or how you came back on the air?
Well, it was roughly about 45 minutes, 50 minutes later and everything, but hopefully the problem's going to be rectified because, I'll just leave it at that. Keith, thank you very much. I appreciate your call. God bless you.
We missed you.
All right, sir. Thank you. Don't forget Dino's Septic Service, and fitting how I would bring that spot up next. But anyway, septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, all of this and so much more. The best of backhoe services and water and sewer lines installed. They are the pros, let me tell you. Dino's Septic Service, and it's so easy to get a hold of them at 436-6526 or 678-1638 with the best of fast, fair, friendly service. They are there to serve you. Dino's Septic Service with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. You call them. Call them today. These are nice people. Dino's Septic Service. Want to also remind you, hold on just a second here, about Kent McClellan. You know, now the primary election is by mail-in ballot this year. And simply put, we've been telling you all about this, and you can go online to idahovotes.gov and request your ballot, or you can call your county clerk over in Minidoka County. It's 436-9511. Kent McClellan wants your vote again for Minidoka County Commissioner. Here's a man that really, really cares. 10 years as Minidoka County Commissioner, Region 4 Development Board member for 8 years, and he's been the Mini-Cassia Veterans Board as an advisor and liaison with the county. He's not a vet, but I'll tell you what, he serves those that were. Vote for Kent McClellan for Minidoka County Commissioner, paid for by John A. Burt Stevenson. All right, calls are welcome and so much appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to get this out of my craw this morning. And it's not just me that is complaining about this. It's many of our network hosts, and one of which I absolutely agreed with him last night on Premise and Principle, and that's Tucker Carlson. Dr. Tony Fauci has been given or is allowed to have so much power over our lives and our business that I personally think he needs to be turned out to pasture regarding this coronavirus and his whims and wishes as to how he wants America to be or not to be. Here's my thought on this, and you did not hear this on the national news. I'm just coming up with this idea this morning. There should be top medical people from every single state in the United States, 50 that are chosen to represent their state. And they should get together daily on the internet or somehow with a mass conference communication and discuss the danger and what's happening with the virus in their states, their communities, etc., but not one man. The concepts of no school in the fall, this is something that is absolutely, I'm irritated this morning because there again we're living under the what ifs and not really what is. This is idiocy. The what if no school in the fall would be devastating to our education systems, our children, everything, and something that we're not going to be able to push a button and have a reset. The sheltering in place at home, if you still have a home, is ludicrous. Pretty soon, things are going to fall apart at the seams, and they're already fraying. What about food? Our agricultural folks, our friends and neighbors, ranchers and farmers are absolutely suffering and need the markets open for the restaurants and all the places for the sale of their potatoes, meats, beans, everything. We can't let this linger. Medical services have declined. And talk about terrible medical services. There are. I mean, I know families that are absolutely wringing their hands because they can't get in to see the patients. They can't find out about the status of their health. They are absolutely destitute of any information and knowledge, and it's tearing their hearts out. Transportation system in this country is just absolutely falling apart. Education, we mentioned already. Everything is going to be dead if we don't continually try to get this nation back up on its feet. Vertical and running. We could be, and this is not an overstatement, Anybody that says it is, call me and I'd be glad to arbitrate. We could be witnessing the death of the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America, caused by deadly a Chinese virus that never should have been released on the world, and I say damn them. Some people are going to be critical and come after me for saying that, but I'm not going to back up on my words. And the liberal left, very evil liberal left, is encouraging more devastation and hurt on people to get their way, their politics, and their control. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know a great business opportunity for you folks, and it happens to be with a very, very dear friend of ours, and that's Doug Martin, and he has his business for sale. And all you have to do is just pick up the phone and dial the numbers, and I know that Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair would be tickled to death to tell you all about it. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Shop numbers 878-4991. After hours 431-5282. This is a super business opportunity. I mean, hey man, come on. A turnkey operation. It's all there. Great building, brand new, beautiful building, shop, and all the equipment, everything inside. And Doug will train the buyer of the business. Can't beat that. I tell you what, call the number 878-4991. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair for sale, 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Okay. While I have just a minute, too, Wheels, old buddy, my little buddy over there is doing a super job, and I appreciate his efforts. Wheels, could I hear a good word about the May 19th primary?
Be sure to mail in your May 19th primary election ballots. Here's Representative Fred Wood.
Hopefully everyone eligible to vote has requested their absentee ballot from their county clerk by this time. If not, please do so soon. When you receive your absentee ballot packet, fill out your ballot. Next, carefully read and follow the instructions regarding the process of ballot in the gold envelope in the white envelope, and signing the white envelope. Then mail the white signed envelope. Paid Fred Wood Campaign.
Wheels, when you have that on, if you could, boy, I'm having a hard time. The equipment's not working right yet. It will be. I need you to boost that up a little bit. I can barely hear my old buddy, Representative Fred Wood. I've got a couple of concerns I want to throw at you this morning before we start taking our calls. Thoughts and prayers, and I mean this when I say this, go to Senator Kelly Anthon. And Kelly's under the weather, and we certainly hope that he's back vertical and smiling and shaking hands and whatever very soon. And also a very dear friend of mine, George Mass. Both of those gentlemen put on our prayer list and make sure they're going to be A-OK. Caller, I'll be right there. Larry and Carlene Hathaway semi-retirement auction is going to be this Saturday, 11 o'clock, over in Shoshone at 620 North, 200 West. Sale managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Sale time is going to be, let me take a look, 11 o'clock. Don't miss it. This coming Saturday, May 16th, they're going to have tractors, trucks, pickups, farm equipment, hay equipment, fencing, all kinds of old collectibles like a two-bottom horse plow, along with miscellaneous items. Don't forget this big sale. And by the way, if you're planning a sale, get a hold of the Bennett Boys Auction Service, 539-0111. Joe Bennett and the crew, Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning again. You know, this Dr. Fauci has the largest microphone in the world right now. And guess who his best friend is? And I think even a partner, but I can't say that for sure. But it is Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is not our friend.
You know something there, Keith, I draw the line. I don't care an inch about who his best friend or associates are. I'm pointing my finger just at what Fauci says, what Fauci does, and how he reacts to the status of this virus. I don't care about any assimilation or association with anybody else. To me, that's, I don't care. I'm going to go after what Fauci says and does, and that's who I'm going to aim my verbal harangue at.
Well, my take on it is he's taking his marching orders from Bill Gates. That's my thought.
Well, it could be. It very well could be. I have not any reason to say that you're wrong or whatever, but whatever Fauci says is what I'm going after. I'm not going to make a sub-headline that says, oh, according to the power of Bill Gates. I'm not going to do that, and I don't think you would either. I'm really livid that our country is in limbo and sliding down the old limbo pole to where we can't get underneath it with our economy. Things have got to change. They've got to change drastically.
That's absolutely right. And we try to believe these people that are on TV, but they are so good at lying to us that we don't know the truth from falsehood.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's time for America to study. It's time for America to do their homework. It's time for America to realize that there are a lot of misstatements in the press on purpose and to be led to get people to be more under their control. Keith, again, I thank you for your good point of interest this morning. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. Bye.
All right, sir. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, Dr. Fauci has been so much wrong. I mean, remember the original models that shut down the whole country? Zeb, it was 2.2 million were going to die. 2.2 million, and all of a sudden, it's the politics of fear. Everything shut down, and we have a great president, but he's not. He's got some bad people around him, and Fauci's one of them.
Hold on a minute. Hold on, Adrian. Hold on.
To have the biggest mic in the world, and I just, those models are 98% wrong.
Hold on a minute. Let me jump in here. Adrian, wait a minute. Please, I want to make a point and agree with you. Stand by. And Wheels, turn him up a little bit so I can hear him. I'm having a hard time. Maybe he's having a hard time hearing me. Adrian, I totally agree with you, and I want to go back to the point you made initially when you started talking about Fauci, and I want you to elaborate on it. Remember that it was only 5 months ago, Adrian, that this Dr. Tony Fauci said very plain that this virus, the coronavirus, was not a major threat. Look at the transition in thinking by a so-called expert.
Well, absolutely. And he was correct in that first assessment. He really was. In my opinion, he was correct in that first assessment. When you look at all the numbers, and I'm a scientist, as you know, when you look at the numbers, this virus is no more virulent than the flu, and it affects certain people. It doesn't seem to affect the youth hardly at all. Teenagers can't seem to even transmit it very much between each other. And so it's just beyond it. Yeah, and then he said you don't need to wear a mask. And I totally agree with that as well, because we've actually had people die because they keep put that mask on, and it's a nice breeding ground. And so if you've got anything, you just reinfect yourself. Being able to.
That point right there, Adrian, is a point that I need to stress. And I've got to hurry. I've got a guest coming on right now at 8:30, but your point is well taken. Later this morning, there is going to be at 10:06 a gentleman by the name of Patrick Wood that's going to talk about the disease-carrying masks. And so you're 100% right. Adrian, I hate to cut you off short.
Good guy, yeah, he really is. I'm aware of him. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He'll be a good guest.
All right, I hate to cut you off, but I've got another guest.
We've got to call the governor yet. 334-2100. He can't rely on number of contacts. Even the Times News admitted, even though we have a lot of cases, we don't have anybody really going to the hospital. And just because you're diagnosed with it, most people don't even have symptoms. Anyway, thank you very much.
All right. God bless you, man. Thanks very much. Appreciate your call, and you're spot on. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, right now it is political season, and I'm honored. Wheels, do we have Mr. Kuno on the phone?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, thank you. We have a gentleman that's running again for Cassia County Commissioner, District 2, and he's a good guy that we want to visit with for a few moments. Robert Kuno, how are you, sir? Good morning.
Well, I'm pretty good, and I think the weather's not too bad. I'm pretty optimistic.
Well, you should be. I mean, we're looking at springtime in the valley. We're going to have the wind. We're going to have the rain. We're going to have sunshine. It's all here for us in a beautiful changing season environment. And talking about changing season environment, politics has changed a little bit this year for the primaries because it's a mail-in ballot. Bob, give us your thoughts on the primaries for the 19th and the mail-in ballot system.
We have tried, and I know the state of Idaho has tried, to notify people that they have to order their ballots. They have to get on the website of idahovotes.gov and order a ballot, which will then be mailed to them. They have to order this before 8 o'clock on the 19th. They will then have until June 2nd to have it returned for it to be counted. And then ballots will be counted on June 2nd.
All right.
Before.
All right. You know, Bob, I had you stop by the other day, and we talked briefly. Why do you want to continue in your role as the Cassia County Commissioner for District 2?
We have we don't have any great, huge projects going, but we do have a few things that are moving, and I'd like to continue. We've got a good working relationship, the existing commissioners. I think our county is in great shape, both for the people and financially. Our tax rates are less than some of our adjacent counties, and I have enjoyed. This is my 10th year. I think we've built a good program. We've done some wonderful things in the last few years, and as a result, it's taken pressure off. We're not needing to do things right today, like some of the counties.
You know, I think it goes without saying that the Cassia County area has been kind of a sleeping giant as far as economic growth and more people moving in. You've got a big task ahead of you as a county commissioner to make sure that everything is on the upswing, and it looks like the economy is going to continually grow for Cassia County.
We have an excellent area in which to grow. We've got... I think planning and zoning program for both the county and some of the cities that encourage development without a lot of delays. And this is real critical. When a business comes in, we hear places where, it'll take a year to get that permit. We don't want to ever have that. We want you to come in, make your applications, and just in a matter of hopefully days, we're going to give you the permits and the things necessary to complete your work.
And the one thing, as a county commissioner, you are an advocate of positive relationships with other counties and other cities in the area. You are, aren't you?
Yes, I am. In fact, Cassia County and Minidoka County have several joint departments together, our jail, public defense, misdemeanor probation, which is a very unique deal for the entire state of Idaho. Other counties, in meetings I've been to, say, well, how in the world could you do a thing like that? We've never even imagined joining two counties together. And yet we have it in several things, and really reduces costs and makes the system work better.
What about agriculture? I know you've been involved in agriculture all of your life, and right now we're seeing some devastating effects with agriculture across the board from coast to coast. What are your thoughts on agriculture for the United States, and especially right here in Cassia County?
Well, it's the backbone. If we don't have agriculture, a lot of the industry and businesses that we have in our area would just cease to exist. And also, all people require agriculture because that's where the food comes from.
Absolutely. And right now...
And so we just need to do everything we can to promote agriculture in a safe and helpful manner.
Absolutely. Real quick, give a quick synopsis as to why people, when they send in their ballot for the May 19th primaries, they should checkmark your name, Robert Cuno, for Cassia County Commissioner. Give us your pitch as to why you'd like to stay in the seat of County Commissioner District 2.
I've enjoyed the time I've been here. I've had a learning curve, which I think everyone has when you first start something. I think I understand how the program works. I have a great relationship with the county government. Our interaction with state government is great. And I would like to promote and continue just doing what we're doing now and make everybody's life maybe just a touch better.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on our program this morning. Robert Kuno, Cassia County Commissioner, and he wants your vote again for District 2 in the mail-in ballot system this year for the primaries, May 19th. Bob, thank you for your time this morning. I know you're busy. I am too. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir. And there you have Mr. Robert Kuno, Cassia County Commissioner, District 2, and he wants your vote. Don't forget, if you haven't got your votes, your ballots yet, do so. It's a mail-in election this year on the primary, please. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is, I've never heard of a country falling into a trap of borrowing more, not in the term of billions with a B, but in the term of trillions with a T. What is happening? We just saw a relief bill that passed. And now the Democrats are introducing, and Nancy Pelosi's the head of this, another $3.1 trillion relief bill. But, underline the word but, there's a caveat here. And I'm not making this up, folks. You can look it up, do your homework. Out of the $3.1 trillion that the Democrats want to introduce for more debt, only 10 billion of that, only 10 billion of that, would actually go to the small businesses to help keep them afloat. Wait a minute, you say. They want to have $3.1 trillion. Where's the other money going to? Well, let me just give you a real short synopsis of some of the money and some of the people that are going to receive the gratuities. The Postal Service, $250 billion. And believe it or not, the promotion of cannabis and the use of cannabis, and if you want to use the terminology marijuana, and some will go to prisoners getting out of prison early, and some will go to provide people in this country over $2,000 a month universal income to stay at home and not go to work, and also $1,200 a month to those illegal aliens that are here in this country and are suffering hardships. I mean, I'm making a lump sum synopsis here of $3.1 trillion in what they call a relief bill, but only, again, $10 billion of it is going to go to the people that are the backbone of the United States economy, and that's the small business owners. This is ludicrous, this is stupid, and it cannot go through. And I hope the Republicans put on their big boy pants and pull on their boots and look the Democrats in the eye and say, you're crazy and it's never going to work. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana says it's as dead as fried chicken. I hope he's right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The politicians in Washington, D.C., and I don't care if you want to point the finger at me and say, oh, you're picking on our politicians. Yes, I am. Crapo and Risch and Simpson, especially Simpson, and others. I think they've lost their minds on the value system of what a dollar is, and especially when you start tossing around these figures of trillions of dollars. And you know what bothers me the most this morning? And if you don't agree with me, call me. At least have the nerve to call me. When we get into debt like this, you know who's going to buy and assume a lot of that debt? You're way ahead of me. China. We owe our soul to China. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you about our good friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. My goodness sakes, 3 locations to serve you. Burley, 159 West Highway 30, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location. Wow, they've got all the Bobcats, they've got all the different sizes and shapes, and they've got all the trenchers and the scissor lifts and all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. I'm telling you, great finance programs, great lease programs. You better stop in today for all the jobs that you need to take care of with the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. I mean, it's all there at Berry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. You get a hold of those good folks today. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. So when do you think China is going to come knocking on our door to collect?
They already have.
Have they?
Yeah, I mean, what?
How are we going to pay them?
Well, how? You tell me. How are we going to pay them? And I'll tell you what the answer is: the giving and the concoction of ideas to where they're going to basically own America, real estate, lock, stock, and barrel.
Well, they already own quite a bit of it, don't they?
Absolutely.
Wow.
What's the best way to what's the best way, caller, to take over and subdue a country without ever having to pick up a rifle and cock the hammer?
Pretty much the way it's been done.
And when
politicians have allowed it to be done is pretty much the best way.
Well, look at medicine, for example. Look at your medications. They already have the hammer cocked on the gun pointed at us. They control our medicinal purposes, all our medicines. I don't care if it's heart medicine, if it's something for diabetes, whatever. Most all of it is manufactured and processed over in the country of China. And they say to themselves, well, if we want to, we can just withhold this medicine on our contract, and we can have the United States on its knees begging and giving us anything more that we want. And isn't that the status where we're at right now today? When we assume more in trillions of debt, somebody's got to pick up that debt. Somebody's got to cover the cards. And look, as China picks this up, we're going to owe our soul to the country store, and that's China.
Well, that's why I'm so frustrated with politicians that have been in office over the last 30 years and the deep state workers that are appointed by them and what they have done for our country. Why would we have ever allowed this to have happened to ourselves? Why wouldn't we have ever sourced everything from ourselves?
Absolutely. Wouldn't the best thing to happen be, look, we've got a virus, but we have to get our economy on track. We're going to open up businesses. We're going to take every precaution. We're going to make sure that everything's sanitized. We're going to make sure everybody wears a mask. We're going to have social distancing, but we're going to start the wheels in motion to get back to work and stimulate the economy that way instead of borrowing money that we can never pay back. Our great-great-grandchildren will still be in debt over this stupidity. We've got to start the wheels of work back in motion.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I appreciate you promoting that effort.
All right, sir.
On the note of the elections, are you in support of these mail-in elections?
No.
Me neither, and it's ridiculous, because at this point, if you haven't requested the ballots, you're not likely to even get your vote to count it in.
Well, you still have time, and that's why they've elongated the actual counting of the ballots until June 2nd. So I want to stress to everybody to get a ballot. But let me go back just for a quick moment. You asked if I was in favor of the mail-in ballots. No, I am not. But I have no power over this, nor do you. It was said by the governor and the powers that be that this year the primary, because of the coronavirus, is going to be held by a mail-in ballot. I accept that. We're going to have to do it. I am absolutely not in favor of it. I don't want to see it again. I think we need the polling places to get back to a sanity. I think there's too many opportunities in the future if we stayed with mail-in ballots to have illicit and illegal forces come in and take over the counting of those ballots. I don't like it, and I'm going to state that. And if I've offended somebody, so be it.
Do you think the voter turnout will be much lower because of the process?
I'm praying not. but I have no control over that, nor do you. I've done all I can on this program to tell everybody to go to idahovotes.gov and ask for your ballots, or at least call your county clerk and get the wheels in effect moving so that you can get a ballot. I can't do any more. I've tried my best. I'm going to support what's available this year, but I tell you this much, I'm not in favor of it in the future, and I will not probably support it in the future.
Well, I stand beside you and your support for that. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it. No, I don't like mail-in ballots. I don't care if they're used places or not. We're going to do it this year. And with the help of the people that have called me on my program, really nice people that have been very diligent, Representative Fred Wood, Senator Kelly Anthon, Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, we're going to get through this, and we're going to do the best we can. And I ask your diligence also to get your ballot, mail it in, vote. Believe me, we don't want to lose that right. Time for the weather, and then I'll take some more calls. I want to remind you that our weather brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And believe me, their phones are open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And the number to call, 312-0957. And they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And believe me, with the expert diagnostic testing they have, they can help you and your hearing health. This is very important. Please get a hold of them today, and that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
The spring storm system is going to be sticking around for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies, few rain showers, maybe some thunder bumpers by this afternoon, and it is going to be a little bit on the breezy side, high of 61. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By tomorrow, looks like a 50% chance of showers, mostly in the afternoon. Clouds are going to stick around as well with a high of 61. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By Friday, we will see some sunshine and a high of 63. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Appreciate it, Gina. And looks like the weather is going to be a little bit unsettled for the next couple of days. But I'll tell you what, if you're having any hearing problems, I urge you to talk about the best of people helping you. And that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The lovely Dr. Pickup and the staff, excellent, and can help you with your hearing problems. 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been awfully busy this morning. I haven't heard too much of what you were talking.
Shame on you.
I got to take care of the customers that pay the bills.
Okay.
But I'm concerned about them not releasing the names of the people that unmasked General Flynn.
Oh, yeah.
And that judge that is now allowing third party to come in when 24 times before he said no.
Yeah. We are witnessing in this country right now firsts, F-I-R-S-T-S, firsts that have never happened before. We're witnessing, perhaps, and I hope, the demise of an evil political party, and that's the Democrat left. We are witnessing what they're doing right now. They will do anything illegal or illicit to try to get their point across. This Judge Sullivan did not and has not liked three-star General Flynn from the get-go, and he's after him personally. But now to change the rules and say that, well, I'm not going to rule on possibly the stopping of his case because I'm going to open it up for outside opinion. Doug, old buddy, old pal, define outside opinion.
He wants the left to come in and just, like Holder did and Obama did, to make their voice heard, that for General Flynn to be exonerated of what happened is not the rule of law that the United States is all about, which is baloney. It is the rule of law. You take a police officer, FBI agent, anybody in law enforcement, they get together and they say, what is our objective when we interview this guy? Their objective is supposed to be the truth.
That's right.
They should not have an objective to get him to lie, get him to fired, prosecute him. That should not be their objective. The objective is the truth.
When the Attorney General, Bill Barr, comes out and makes the statements that he has, and he's a very cautious man. He's a very thorough man. And the Flynn case absolutely should be thrown out, and whatever restoration can happen for General Flynn needs to happen. He's lost his home. He's lost everything financially. The Democrats and the liberals have ruined that man, and now it's time to open up the dossier and say, okay, here's what Eric Holder did, here's what Joe Biden did, and right to the top, here's what Barack Obama did, and I don't give a rip if jail sentences are due, lock the door.
Well, we need equal justice.
Amen.
And my deal for equal justice for General Flynn is for every person that lied and changed things to get him prosecuted needs to forfeit their government pension to General Flynn.
Yeah.
And the lawyers that was representing General Flynn that sold him down the creek, they need to forfeit everything and be disbarred because they did not do as they were supposed to.
Should we have a little fun with this very serious situation? Let's all go to a store or order from a catalog a brilliant bright orange shirt, and let's send it back to Obama saying, gee, I hope this fits and looks good behind bars.
or one with black and white stripes on it.
There you go. Thank you.
Did in Arizona and send them some pink underwear.
I've got another comment there, but I won't. Anyway, Doug, God bless you for your call this morning. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Hey, did you get that Turkish proverb I sent to you?
I loved it. Thank you.
Isn't that great?
Absolutely phenomenal. I appreciate everything you do send me. Thank you very much. God bless you. Including, by the way, money. Thank you very much.
Checks in the mail, buddy.
All right, talk to you later. Thank you. All right, I have. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Let's take care of our senior centers.
Amen. Thank you. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yeah, maybe later down the road if you could do something on this, but there was talk here in the last several months, and this has failed, according to what I've heard, is there was talk about taking retirement funds from our military personnel and turning it over to China to handle, and at last I heard it failed, but I just haven't heard anybody speak about it on the radio.
I am absolutely appalled and sitting here with my mouth open sometimes in the morning when I get up and go to my office and prepare for this program. Some of the absolute lunacy and traitor-like attitudes that some of these politicians, congressmen, and senators prevail to propose America do certain stupid things. This is another thing that I'm looking up and studying. The giving away of the freedoms and the giving away of our traditions and our values and our heritage to foreign countries, it's completely lunacy. And I don't know what in the world we're going to do to stop it except impose term limits and get rid of some of these bums, and they are, that sit in the halls of Congress.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Zeb. I'd sure like to see a change here, but it scares the heck out of me at this moment, hearing what I'm seeing or seeing what I'm hearing. So
I totally agree. Earl, you're the man of the mountain. Stay up there, stay cool. And, well, you don't have to stay cool because it's going to be darn chilly today. God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
Get over to that cow that just moved. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Caller, I got 1 minute. Real fast. Go, please.
Well, Dr. Fauci is compromised, to say the least. His history is nothing to be proud of for the American people. He is his intent is ill. He is finagling. You know what I really think is that they're hoping that there will be no actual. You go to the polls to vote for this fall. They want some sort of way to create voter fraud with mail-in ballots, which is just risky business, and especially in places where they intend to cheat. Who knows what this man really is about?
Absolutely.
There's so much evidence that he has done some unbelievable, low down, dirty things to people, and it's just I'm tired of listening to him. And we need to be done with Mr. Fauci.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I still think my idea of having a very well-recognized and respected representative from every one state, 50 people representing their states, I think would be a lot better off. Randy, I appreciate it. I got to run to the news, but thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, quickly, Brad Little, just all he ever talks about is Fauci and the CDC. I don't know. He scares me just a little.
I don't blame you. Thank you. God bless. We're going to take a little break right now and send it back over to Wheels, and he's going to go to CBS News. Coming up next hour, Dave Bigo, and then also Bill Bullard. Two great guests this next hour. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Be back in 7. Oh my, here we go. Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 2 on this Wednesday, May 13th. Thank you very much, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you very safe, clean environments and the best in tires. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with our friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn, and of course, seniors living the good life with friends. And Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, old partner, can we please have the good word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, like I told you about a month ago, I got those dumpsters, and wow, did we go to cleaning, pitching and throwing, and boy, it was fun, and then I threw something away I shouldn't have, but anyway, get a dumpster if you need them. They've got them in various sizes. What they'll do is bring it out, and then you fill it up, they'll come and get it. Wonderful, wonderful service to get rid of your garbage. Western Waste Services, 734-6969, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. Wheels, could we please have the good word for the May 19th primaries?
Be sure to mail in your May 19th primary election ballots. Here's Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke.
The primary election on May 19th is quickly approaching. You should all have received a ballot request form in the mail. Fill it out and send it in. Then you will get the official ballot back to you in the mail. Read the directions carefully and fill it out, put it in the envelope, and don't forget to sign the envelope and send it in. It's just that easy. Paid for by Bedkeeper, Idaho.
Thank you very much and appreciate it, Scott. And don't forget to our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. And they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call. I'm going to give you this number many times because you need to call and make an appointment to let them help you get back to being you. That's, of course, 678-1191. 678-1191. You be sure and call them today. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists. They're really concerned about your welfare and getting over the aching and the pain and from the surgeries or the accidents, whatever the case might be. You call them today. 678-1191. The best serving you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Quick reminder, tomorrow's the big day. We're going to be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley from 11:30 to 1 for the first parking lot picnic. Yes, all you have to do is drive in, and they'll come out. They'll serve you with the special for the picnic, a club sandwich and fries and a drink. You pay for it. They'll take the money, bring back the change. We'll sit there in the parking lot, and we're going to honk at each other and have a good time. 11:30 to 1 tomorrow morning at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Don't miss it. Right now, I'd like to invite him out to go to the parking lot picnic, and that's, of course, my dear friend back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Good morning, Dave Beagle. How are you?
I'm doing good. I hope you are. I'm just frustrated that we're not getting the economy opened back up.
Okay, Dave, I don't even know where to start this morning. I am so frustrated. Let's start on this note, that the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi want to push through a $3.1 trillion, I can't even say that word, it stumbles off my tongue, $1 trillion relief bill in addition to what was passed just a little while ago. And here's the caveat. Only $10 billion, with a B, of that $3.1 trillion would go to Small Business Association members and small business. The rest of it goes to stupidity like giving $1,200 a month to illegal aliens and furthering the promotion of cannabis and helping bail out the post office. What's going on here?
Zeb, it's the stuff we've talked about for a long time. They're just trying to bring the country down. They want to control it, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, but it's not as simple as that, Dave. It's not, because I'm so concerned that the playing on the heartstrings with Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and others, oh, well, we just want to help and serve the American people. This is nothing more than a political ploy. And here's the other deal, and tell me if you think I'm wrong. $3.1 trillion added on to our already enormous debt that our great-grandchildren will be paying for. You know who's going to pick up the tab on this, don't you? And our soul is going to be owned by China.
Well, yeah, and Zeb, it is that they want to bring this country down because this is all a political ploy to get Trump out of the office in November and take over the Senate and keep the House, and then they can become a socialist communist country like China is. And this is what it's all about. And they're throwing all this stuff out there to get the votes from these people because you go, wow, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. That's great. I need to vote for the Democrats. And this isn't about doing the right things for America and the people here, because at the end of the day, if they accomplish this and they do all this, these people aren't going to get any of this stuff. In fact, they're going to make less money than they've ever made in their life.
Absolutely. How is that kind of a stupid scenario, and I'm going to be blunt, I'm not going to feather up the language to make it look good, how is that playing back in the Midwest, especially in your home state of Indiana? What are other people saying about this?
Well, they're not happy about it at all, and they think it's crazy stuff, and, they of course, we're more of a conservative state and everything, except in a few areas, and, even the Democrats, so some of the ones you talk to, they think it's crazy stuff because they're afraid of what the far left part of the Democratic Party is doing, and it's not the Democratic Party they remember.
Let me shift gears just a little bit, and I want to say this, and again, you're more soft-spoken than I am, but I think you will agree that as the facts are coming out about how absolutely evil and sinister the Obama operation was and is still, we are seeing the crooks, the liars, and the criminals step forward of what they did to hurt the Donald Trump campaign, and then also after his election try to bring him down. This thing is going to get big and deep and dirty over the next couple of weeks. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with you 100%, Zeb, and that's what this is all about. And, we have people on the far left that, again, I'll say this, I've said it many times, that don't understand how to be successful in a free market, and they don't want to work that hard. Because if they can put in their communist, socialist type of government, they're not going to work hard at all. They're not going to do much of anything. They're just going to say, this is it, and this is what you're getting, period, and that's it. And they don't have to, go out and work in a free market society.
When I look at this General Flynn story, and I've read quite a bit about it, and I've had many, many guests on the program talking about it, and what he supposedly did or did not do is irrelevant because of the absolute shyster attitude of the FBI and the lies and the cheating and the basically setting up this general to fail and cost him his home, cost him everything. And I'm looking at this situation right now saying heads have got to roll. And those heads go all the way to the top, whether it's John Brennan, whether it's Joe Biden, or even Barack Obama himself. This has got to be punished.
Yes, it does. And every one of these have to be indicted and go after them. And, it's because they're doing the wrong things for this country, and they weren't, staying in line with the laws of this country, and we need to make sure they pay for it.
Let me ask you something. Well, I know you heard this, but the judge, his name is Judge Sullivan, that's looking at this case as far as a dismissal for General Flynn, and I thought it was going to be a slam dunk yesterday. I really did. All of a sudden, this judge that does not like Flynn, he does not like conservatives, he does not like Trump, he does not like the Republican Party, he has stated in many, many addresses that he's very liberal. He came out and he said he's going to take more time for study and, quote, allow outside opinions to come in. Define for me, Mr. Bago, if you would please, outside opinions.
They're going to go out and he's going to let the left come up with their thoughts and ideas how to counter this thing so that he can move ahead and not allow Flynn to be exonerated. And this is what it's all about, because he is a far left guy too, from what I understand and heard about him. And and he makes pretty good money too. And this is what I understand in his position, he's making over $100,000 a year. And the American people need to wake up to this stuff. Because, again, he's another guy that sits there and he doesn't work that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that difficult to sit there and work every day on something like this. Not like when, as you know, as a businessman, having to go out and build your business and maintain it and, get customers and advertisers and employees and everything else and take care of all these people. That's a whole different thing than sitting in a chair deciding on what you ought to do with this guy.
Amen. On a lighter note, I've got to ask you, and I'm not going to be polite in any way, shape, or form on this, but have you seen any newscasts in the last 48 hours? Have you watched any newscasts and seen the pictures or the videotapes of Nancy Pelosi?
Oh, yeah, I've seen some.
All right, I've got to ask you, did it strike you as very funny? My wife and I noticed it right off the get-go yesterday when Nancy...
What you're going to say. She's wearing a scarf now.
No, that's not what I'm going to say. But I think there's reasons for that. Maybe it alludes to my point. But she had a break, and she went back to California. Now she is back, and did you notice that I think she's had more than a little Botox and more than a little facelifting? As a matter of fact, I think they used an 8-story crane to lift her face up. I'm telling you, the prominence of her cheekbones, the tight skin, the oily skin, and her eyebrows are now almost on the top of her head.
Yeah, I've noticed a little bit of that, but Dr. Burke, she wears a scarf every day.
Yeah.
And a different one every day. And I just found the last couple of days that it's funny that Pelosi is mocking her. My wife and I noticed that, and and plus I think she's trying to cover up some of her neck and stuff like that too.
Well, I tell you what, we couldn't believe it. Nancy looked like she should be in that California Wax Museum. It was terrible yesterday. Anyway, going back to more seriousness, I got to ask you about Fauci. I have said on this program I'm not a fan of Dr. Fauci, never was, never will be. And here's my reasoning. Here is one man that's very liberal, very oriented towards his opinion or the highway. And I made the opinion this morning on my show earlier, first hour, that wouldn't we be better off, Dave Bigo, if every state in the United States, whether it's Delaware, whether it's Florida, whether it's Arkansas, whether it's Idaho, whatever, every state had a very well-respected representative represent their state with opinions about the coronavirus. They could get together on teleconferencing or the internet, whatever, once a day or once a week, whatever. I think those opinions of medical professionals would be a lot better than us putting all of our faith into Dr. Tony Fauci.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on Fauci, and I believe I mentioned this last week, and if people get online and look at the newsletter I sent out, I've got a couple articles on him, and, one of them last week is that, he is behind the scenes spewing absolutely propaganda about COVID-19, and that, he's in bed with Bill Gates and others who are... and Bill Gates, and I think I mentioned this to you a couple shows ago, that people had found out that he was actually involved in starting the COVID-19 production in China. And, he paid him a lot of money to do the research and build something. And I think it's all this far left stuff again that's trying to build a way to bring down this country. And Fauci is part of it, even though Trump is... got him on the panel on that. I've had people in Oregon and Washington send me stuff saying, please send this to Mike Pence, because, Dave, we know you know Mike Pence, and I do know Vice President Pence because he's from Indiana, and I've sent it to him, and his assistant has told me, definitely we will make sure he reads this, because we're concerned about Fauci, too.
Absolutely. I can't say this as bona fide fact, but I think you'll agree that in his eyes, America could go into what he said, a total complete shutdown until the virus is at 0%. First of all, that doesn't make any sense to me from a medical professional because, Dave, there is no such thing as a virus at 0%. Am I right or wrong?
Well, that's right. I mean, there's always going to be, unfortunately, there's going to be viruses and bacteria and stuff that can cause illness and that with the population. And but we as a country, we do better than anybody else in the world, any country in the world, of handling this stuff. And that's what we need to have our medical doctors and our research people do.
There's a guy in the Senate that I don't know whether he's just nothing more than a barking dog with no teeth or what, but you hear a lot of Lindsey Graham saying, well, if they do that, I'm going to go after them like a junkyard dog. And then you never hear any more about it. He keeps making these threats and saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And really, nothing ever seems to be done. Now, he was talking yesterday about, well, if they tap my phone conversations and I find out about it, there's going to be hell to pay. Heads will roll, he said. I'm beginning to think that Lindsey Graham is a lot of smoke, but not much fire. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you 100%. I've met, back years ago when I was in Washington speaking on my book, The Devil at Our Doorstep. I spoke in front of the House and the Senate, and I had meetings with Graham and other senators and congressmen and stuff like that. And is Lindsey a friendly guy? Yes, he is. But he spouts this stuff. But when you really push him on it and dig into it. He really doesn't have the backbone to do it.
Yeah. Why is that, and how come he's getting away with it? Why aren't his constituents? Why aren't people in his state? Why aren't other people? I'm mad. I'm going to make a call after this program and tell him I think he's a basic liar and a coward because he's not following through. It's like a hitter going up to the plate with a reputation of hitting a home run every other time, but he doesn't swing and he strikes out and goes back to the dugout.
Yeah, it's just who he is, and unfortunately, the Republican Party in both the House and the Senate have a lot of people in it that are like that, and they're willing to shout things out that we're going to do this and all this kind of stuff because again they're trying to get votes to get reelected, and they know a lot of people won't dig behind the scenes and research and see if he's really doing a lot of this stuff. And it's the same way all through the Senate and the House.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we have people in both those positions that do those type of things. And we really need people that stand up and, go out and expose these people that are trying to bring down this country and trying to tear it apart so that the American people wake up.
I'm missing sports, and I make no bones about it. There are people that don't understand the money value to the economy of sports, be it baseball, basketball, football, auto racing, whatever the case might be. It is a major part of our annual economy and for striving for greatness. We have got to get the sports program fixed in this country because of the stoppage, because of the coronavirus. The NASCAR folks are going to start their races, even though it's going to be without fans in the stands. Baseball is saying that maybe they're going to go into a real quick, energized spring training in June and try to start playing baseball in their stadiums around the 4th of July. I'm telling you, we've got to get back to some semblance of normal. These big money checks have got to start to be paid if it's going to make our economy grow again.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zeb, and it's sad to see with sports and stuff like that where it's going and things like that. And it's like football. The NFL is talking about they're going to start up, and we keep we got season tickets to the Indianapolis Colts, and we keep getting emails and letters from them of what they're planning in that. Of course, there won't be any preseason games or anything like that, and each one of their games they'll decide based on how the coronavirus is going, how they're going to handle it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's sad. We just need to get back to it. And I think one of the things that, these scientists and these people that are doing the research and doing the numbers on this need to look at is, maybe we have certain high peaks of this in certain states and certain areas in that, but what does it really come down, people, to what type of people is it, where are they located, and what do they do, and are they really a part of the population that's going to infect, sports and business and other things.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to leave you with a parting shot of wisdom you can carry forth and tell your employees and your wife and everyone else. Never, ever, David, allow somebody to put your eyebrows on top of your head.
We'll try and do that, Zeb. We appreciate that.
Hey, by the way, did you get the number and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to call me back later, and I'll talk to you about it.
All right, I appreciate it. Dave Bego, my dear friend back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you very much. God bless. Talk to you next week. Thanks.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right. I want to remind you, too, we had this man on our program last hour, and that's Robert Kuno, and he's running for Cassia County Commissioner, District 2. Yes, he has been 10 years as a Commissioner, District 2, and he wants to continue on with the best of conservative principles, constructive ideas, proactive leadership, and provide good county government to you. Born and raised in Burley, educated in Cassia County schools, and believe me, he says, I'll continue to approach the office of Cassia County Commissioner with an open mind and desire to serve the people of Cassia County. Don't forget to mail in your ballots May 19th. Mail-in ballot time for Robert Kuno, and he's running for Cassia County Commissioner, District 2, paid for by Robert Kuno. I want to remind you, too, as I just about tipped over everything on my desk, I've got to do something about this desk. My desk resembles my head. I haven't had a haircut for 5 months. 5 months! And my desk is about as messy and unkempt as my hair. Maybe more so. Don't forget our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, family and staff serving you, and always serving the families with the best possible support and comfort. And you can depend on the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They absolutely will take care of you and your family. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Wow, a lot of things going on, and don't forget, too, we're going to be over at the great big Denny's parking lot picnic tomorrow. Yep, 11:30 to 1. Don't forget it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you just pull in, park, and they'll come running out from Denny's, and they'll bring you the special, which is a club sandwich and fries and a soft drink, and we're going to sit there in the parking lot, and we're going to honk horns at each other and just have a good time. Helping Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, tomorrow from 11:30 to 1. Okay. By the way, I want to mention to everybody that Let's Ride is open and ready to serve you with the best of four-wheelers and side-by-sides and great accessories. Whatever you're looking for, they've got it. And service work on your existing four-wheelers and side-by-sides to keep you running. Absolutely. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. The hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. And they've got rebates on the side-by-sides and four-wheelers. You better check out and save money. Check it out today. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it is so true. This is where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. All right, let's ride right over to Montana, one of my very favorite states, and good guy, the CEO of RCAF USA, Bill Bullard. How are you?
Doing great, Zeb. Thank you.
First and foremost, I certainly hope Mrs. Bullard is doing better.
She is. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bill, I don't even know where to start on this because it's such a mess right now. The food chain in America is really seeing some weak links, and the beef industry, the cattlemen, and what's going on from the pasture all the way to the plate, boy, there's some problems. What's going on? Give us your opinion in a nutshell.
Well, the problem is that for the past 3 or more decades, we essentially turned over the entire food supply chain to the multinational meat packers and processors so that they could shape it in a manner that maximized their bottom line. And that's precisely what they did. They consolidated and concentrated the industry. They skeletonized the entire supply chain. They've eliminated any redundancy and resiliency within that supply chain. They've focused on huge monolithic meatpacking plants that would serve millions of people in many states of the Union, so that if a problem occurred in any one plant, you would essentially disrupt the entire food supply chain. So we've been at risk of this for a long time, because we have 4 multinational packers that control over 80% of our fed cattle market in our industry. And so we have been awaiting a disaster like this for many years, knowing that our system was incapable of responding to a crisis of any kind, whether it be a human disease or an animal disease or a weather-related disaster. We are inherently ill-prepared
for any kind of contingency because there's nothing built into this. And this is contrary to our national food security interests and our national food safety interests. And as a result of this, of course, you risk becoming dependent on foreign countries for your food. And that is something that is absolutely essential. And it's a huge mistake that the United States has made to allow these multinational corporations to essentially supplant what used to be the most efficient food production system in the world, bar none. And that was the family farm system of agriculture that we had just a few decades ago. And it was the envy of the world for producing in the most efficient manner the most wholesome and abundant and affordable food supply that the world has ever seen. But we've now let the industrialized multinational corporations gut the family farm system of agriculture, reduce the number of producers in the cattle industry by hundreds of thousands, reduce the number of feedlots or the marketing outlets for our cattle producers by the tens of thousands, and reducing the number of processing plants to by hundreds. And so now we have just a few large plants, 24 plants owned by the 4 largest packers. Any one of those closes, as they did during this COVID-19, and we back up the system. So estimates are we have about 500,000 fed cattle that should have already gone through the processing, but they're being backed up.
Oh, my
and that's
goodness.
Creating a backup of the entire live cattle supply chain. That means that there are people who have yearling cattle that they want to sell to a feedlot, but they cannot get a bid. That means we're going to have cow-calf producers this fall who have calves to sell, but the backgrounders or the feedlots are not going to be able to have room to take their animals. And so we're going to see a backlog that is going to continue putting tremendous financial pressure on our already significantly weakened cattle industry. So, Zeb, that's where we're at today.
Well, Bill, okay, stop. I'm just going to look at this through very unknowledgeable eyes. I don't have nearly the knowledge and capability of understanding the problem like you do. But why weren't there some overseeing or someone that was going to blow the whistle when all this was being created and forming into shape like a huge cancer? Why didn't somebody say, we got to stop this? Where were the precautions?
Well, they've been thrown out the window. So the government has essentially taken the position that the government should remain hands-off. The less regulation of these multinational corporations, the better. We don't need to worry about our antitrust laws because the markets are self-healing and they'll fix themselves. So that's been the philosophy guiding the government for the past 4 decades or so. And meanwhile, our antitrust laws and laws to preserve and protect fair competition have been collecting dust on the shelves. Because the regulators did not regulate, the enforcers did not enforce. And so the meat packers and the other multinational food processing industries were simply given free rein to do as they pleased with the food system. And what a mistake that was, and we now know it today. Because, never in our memory, at least not in my lifetime, have I gone to a store and not been able to buy what I want in terms of the food in a grocery store? Well, we've surpassed that unprecedented action because now consumers are going to the grocery store and not able to find the food they need. And so this is a serious, serious problem. It's a serious, serious breach of the government's confidence, the people's confidence of the government, because they failed their responsibility to ensure that we could survive and with our food system through a crisis like this or any other. And we simply are ill-prepared because we did not do as you said. We did not even enforce the laws that have been on the books for well over 100 years. We simply ignored them and let the multinational companies do as they please.
Okay, let me break this down a little bit. Who are these people? What are their names? What are the company names, etc., that are playing fat cats with great big Cuban cigars stuffed in their mouth and making the money while the consumers are paying through the nose and the ranchers and feedlot operators are going bankrupt? Who's making all the money and who's playing fat cat?
Well, we see reports now that the meat processing industry, the meat packers in our industry, for example, we see wholesale beef prices have risen to the highest levels in history ever, and that cattle prices continue to be seriously depressed about where they were a decade ago. And so the middleman in this industry, which include the multinational meat packers, are making windfall profits as a result of this catastrophe that we're faced with. And in addition, while we have cattle producers today who have cattle to sell but no market to sell into, nevertheless, the meat packers continue to import live cattle by the thousands from both Canada and Mexico, and they're bringing those cheaper animals into the United States, and they're displacing the American rancher's access to his or her own domestic market. And they're doing that in the face of this crisis, knowing that we have American producers who are suffering economically because they can't market their animals, and even when they can market them, they're at a seriously depressed price. At the same time, consumers are paying record retail beef prices, and the importers and the meat packers are bringing in cheaper, undifferentiated beef and cattle in order to displace domestic production. So those are who the fat cats are. Who are the fat cats that allowed this to happen? You have to look at your members of Congress. They're the ones who have not required the enforcement of our antitrust laws. You have to look at our administrations, the executive branch, because it's the Department of Justice that has and the Federal Trade Commission that should be enforcing our Sherman Act and our Clayton Act, the two most notable antitrust laws that we have on the books for over 100 years. And so this has been an abject failure on the part of our government to do what governments are supposed to do, and that is to protect the citizens within from forces and harm, both internally and externally. And obviously, we missed the boat. So now it's time to rebuild. Now it's time to change course, to recognize the significant deficiencies that now exist in the marketplace, and then we need to begin rebuilding it, and the process has started.
Yeah, but put a caveat on that, Bill, and then we'll take a call. Give me a short answer on this. You say it's time to rebuild. That all sounds well and good, but can we? I mean, are boot heels on the edge of the cliff, and somebody with a strong breeze is going to push us in the canyon, or is it workable and solvable?
Well, we've never been in such a precarious position as we are now. We're at risk of losing the critical mass of producers and competitive marketing channels that are absolutely essential in order to sustain and rebuild a competitive marketplace. But we still have enough cattle producers left. We don't have enough hog producers or chicken producers because those industries have already succumbed to the vertically integrated, top-down command and control regime of the integrators. Those industries have lost the critical mass necessary to sustain a competitive industry. They're now controlled by the meat packers.
Wow.
We're the last frontier of the cattle industry. We still have the critical mass left to rebuild. We can do it if we have the will and courage to do so.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question, and caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, I was watching a podcast from a Kansas cattle producer last night, or a stockbroker. I mean, livestock broker. And he was talking about how the amount of money that is being made by these meat packers is so unbelievable that it's criminal. And so, I'm out amongst them every day, the farmers, ranchers, dairymen, cattlemen, and these men are good, hardworking men and people, but they don't ever want to speak up. And somehow they have got to stand their ground. I think they just think that if I just keep working hard and do the right thing, it's going to all be all right. But, they've got to stop this. this is criminal what is going on, if you understand it. I hope people delve into it a little because it affects us every day because we all eat. Thank you.
Respond to the caller, please, Bill.
Yeah, excellent points. And so I would suggest that everyone listening, you need to join an organization that represents your interests. We hope you would support us because we need to begin rebuilding competition. But you can't just keep your nose at the grindstone and expect others to fix things unless you support them, and you can support them with your membership dues. So that's critically important that you get involved in your industry at least at the level of supporting the organization that's fighting for your interests. His comments about how wide the spread is between what the cattle producer receives and what the meat packer and the consumers are paying for beef is never before seen in history, and that's why it's unprecedented. We're seeing requests for criminal investigations by the members of Congress, by 11 state attorneys general, by the senators have just issued a new letter yesterday by the president asking for an investigation. It's now beginning to become so manifest that they can no longer be ignored. The problem has been simmering and boiling for many, many years, but now it's reached the boiling point. Now people are starting to pay attention, and that's why the time is ripe to begin the rebuilding process right now.
Bill, let me say this, and if you don't agree, please tell me, but I look at the beef situation in this country, the beef industry, as what happened years ago with the oil industry, where we basically were reliant upon OPEC and all the foreign Saudi Arabian governments, etc., to bring our oil to our shores, and we kind of bowed and said, oh, thank you, and paid whatever price they wanted. I see the same thing happening when our local and our state and our national producers go out of business and the beef industry becomes self-servient to other countries. Oh, can we please buy beef? Oh, we'll pay anything you want. Aren't those two analogies pretty close together as to what's happening?
Well, they are, and even closer would be to look at this U.S. sheep industry. That industry has been overrun by imports, and since 2006, not that long ago, that was the first industry to be outsourced because we now rely more upon imported lamb and mutton than our beleaguered sheep industry can anymore produce. So the same thing is happening in the cattle industry. We're seeing more countries importing more beef to the United States every year. In fact, this year now, we've invited beef from Namibia, Africa, raw beef from Brazil, and we're now importing about 3.2 billion pounds of beef every year from about 20 different countries, and that volume is rising.
Oh my.
And then when you add the beef equivalent of the live cattle, we're actually importing as much or more than 20% of the available beef in the United States now is imported product. And so we're fast moving in the same direction that you just described, and that is a direction in which you lose your ability to defend your national sovereignty because you lose your food security when you become dependent on foreign nations for your food supply. You cannot live without the food, and it is arguably the single most important economic and national security interest for all of America, and we simply paid lip service to it for too many years.
We've paid lip service to it for too many years, but then on the other hand, we've been like meek sheep sitting back in the back of the room, not raising our hand and demanding things. Is it too late, or what would you tell my audience that each and every person should think about and do, whether they're consumers, whether they're in the business of the cattle industry or whatever? What can we do to really put our fist on the table and say enough is enough?
Well, number one, they can support the effort to restore mandatory country of origin labeling for beef, pork, and for dairy products so all the consumers can choose from what country they want their food produced. And when they choose the American-produced product, then they know they are supporting the American economy. So they can go to www.demandUSAbeef.com. That's demandUSAbeef.com. There are already over 374,000 consumers and producers signed on to that petition, calling on the President and Congress to give the consumer the ability to know from what country their beef and pork had been born, raised, and slaughtered, and from what country their dairy products have been produced, sourced, or processed. So that's the first step. The first step is to recognize that we have the ability as a nation to support our American, what's left of our American family farm and ranch system, by choosing to purchase their products that are produced exclusively here in America. That's the first step. The second step is to, after signing the petition, call your members of Congress and tell them you want them to introduce this new country of origin labeling law immediately. And once we get that process started, we can begin the rebuilding process, because that's the quintessential element of competition, the ability for consumers to choose when making their food purchases, and the ability for cattle producers to compete against this growing tide of undifferentiated product that's entering our country. So those are the first two steps. Sign the petition, call your member of Congress.
Bill, I always look forward to having you on the program for your information, and I personally am going to do all I can to help you down here on my program. And ladies and gentlemen, Bill Bullard with the RCAF USA. He's the CEO. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless, and I'll be in touch to have you back very soon. Thank you very much.
Sounds great. Thank you, Zeb.
All right, sir.
Goodbye.
Wow. I mean, we've got to support our beef industry, not Brazil or any other country. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of this, and I totally agree, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times about I will not buy anything unless I know it was raised and planted and grown right here in the good old USA. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quickly, our weather forecast for this hour is brought to you by the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing professional accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. They are good. And Deanne agrees with me. We've been blessed to work with them, tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. I urge you to get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, serving you, your family, and your business, the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, I'll be right with you, but first of all, here's Gina with the weather.
The spring storm system is going to be sticking around for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies, few rain showers, maybe some thunder bumpers by this afternoon, and it is going to be a little bit on the breezy side. High of 61. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By tomorrow, looks like a 50% chance of showers, mostly in the afternoon. Clouds are going to stick around as well with a high of 61. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By Friday, we will see some sunshine and a high of 63. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Bring on the sun. Thank you, Gina. And again, the weather brought to you this hour by the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they can help folks starting a business or maybe changing over to a partnership or a corporation or wanting to expand your business. Questions? They've got the answers. Call them and get a hold of them today with offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Ted. You know that you got my attention when you started talking about farmers.
Well, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Anyway, we are so fortunate to live in a country where we can go to the grocery store and know that our food is really good. And for heaven's sakes, why would you want to buy something from an importer or something that you have no idea what his scruples are? And here we are. The people in egg are not getting the top dollar, and yet they keep going to work every day because they love their job. And I just think that we need to have some kind of a celebration to celebrate American agriculture, because we are, and I'm fifth generation agriculture, and I know, and I wouldn't change I'm a farmer. I love it. And I don't think we're starving, and for sure, because we have such good farmers. Where else can you go?
No, you can't go anywhere, and I have stated this before, and I'm going to say it again. Bear with me a second, Chris. But there was a gentleman, and I used that term loosely on my program about 5-6 months ago, and I will not mention his name. I will not give him any more publicity at all ever on my program. But he came out and made a statement that we would be better off as a country if we imported all of our food, and he denigrated our farmers and ranchers, and I cut him off, and we got into a verbal harangue right on the interview and told him he was not welcome back on my show ever again, and he is not. The problem that most dumb people, and I use the simple terminology dumb, they don't understand that when any country cannot raise its own food and feed themselves, they become subservient and lose their power to any and all countries that are holding on to the bushel basket. And that is a fear to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and truthfully, if people shop smart, and if they look on the thing that says USA, you're going to get the best, because we do not let anything on the shelves but the best.
That's right.
And I think that we're so fortunate in the United States that sometimes we're stupid.
I agree.
Because we don't realize what goes into that plate of food.
Amen.
And, it doesn't appear there unless it's been on the make for about 6 months.
No, I tell you what, I'm so glad you called, because nobody's a bigger advocate for country of origin labeling than I am. And Chris, I know your family heavily involved in agriculture. I thank you for your input. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. I've got one more commercial, and then I've got to go to the news.
Thank you, Zeb.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to remind you about our friends over in Rupert area, and that's, of course, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my. For you, your family, your business, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this. And you talk about service. They are really dedicated and accessible to serving you. What do you need to do? Nothing much. Just dial the number. Call them. Make an appointment. They'll help you. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Once again, don't forget, tomorrow, 11:30 to 1, we'll be over in the parking lot at Denny's Parking Lot Picnic. You better believe it, America's Diner, 11:30 to 1. We will see you there. And we're coming up next hour with Patrick Wood, and then followed by Daniel Turner. 2 real big home runs next hour. Don't go away. Wheels, take it away, old buddy, if you would. I could listen to that piano all day long. Good morning. Welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch on this Wednesday, May 13th. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our friends at Greystone Crossing, Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. As I've said every day, a beautiful, I mean beautiful, brand new 12-bedroom home. And, of course, a great location right there on 21st Street. And, of course, don't forget, 3 meals a day, housekeeping, local transportation, and you're with your friends friends. You're with your friends. I urge you to call the number, seniors, and take a tour. Set up an appointment at 650-4979. Matt and Kelly Wiggins at 650-4979. Greystone Crossing, Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Wheels, could we please have the good word about the May 19th primaries?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Senator Kelly Anthon to explain this year's voting by mail.
The outcome of every election we have is determined by who shows up to vote. This year, Idaho's primary election is a mail-in only election. It's not ideal, and it's not the way we'd like to do it. But your vote does make a difference for all of us in Idaho. So please, first request a ballot, then mail it in, and make your voice heard. This message is paid for by the Anthon for Idaho Senate campaign.
Thank you very much, Senator Anthon, and we wish him the best. He's under the weather a little bit, and we want to wish him a speedy recovery. Also, quickly, 7K Metals, as I said, Deanne and I have been introduced to them about 3-4 months ago about silver purchases that can be sent right to my home. A great saving opportunity for me and you, and a valued treasure for our loved ones in the future. I urge you to find out more about 7K Metals and silver purchases, and you can build your own financial security and future. Contact Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call. These are good people serving you. 7K Metals. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and a gentleman that is the executive director and founder of Citizens for Free Speech. Good morning, Patrick Wood. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me on again today.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, Patrick. I know you've been on my program in the past, but I'd like my audience to know a little bit more about you, what you do, and what you represent. So give us a thumbnail sketch.
Sure. I've been executive director of Citizens for Free Speech now since I founded it 2.5 years ago. It's in defense of the First Amendment and the support of the First Amendment in America. And all the editor-in-chief of an online blog by the name of Technocracy News and Trends. I've written books about technocracy and globalization and the United Nations and sustainable development, things like that. But I became alarmed about the loss of free speech to the First Amendment some time ago, and decided that America should have a voice for the First Amendment. If we lose it, we've just about lost everything, as you might imagine. So that's what I am. That's what I'm all about.
You know, Patrick, I'm going to say this. You have got your work cut out for you. I'm an old man. I'm 72 years old. And in my lifetime, I've never seen such an assault on the First Amendment and what it is and what it stands for as we have in the last 8 years. What are your thoughts? We all better jump up and start defending the First Amendment, because that's the protection of all the amendments and our wonderful Constitution.
You're exactly right. And the First Amendment was put there purposely by the founders of the writers of the Constitution. And they knew if we lose the ability to speak and express ourselves freely in society and to have open debate, that the very next thing we would meet would be the Second Amendment. And that's why the Second Amendment is second. And that's something you just don't want to think about, but that is the reality of the matter. Communication has shut down in America. And thanks to big tech, thanks to, mainstream media, thanks to just people in society, wanting to scream at each other instead of have reasonable discussions, we're in big trouble vis-a-vis the First Amendment right now. And yes, we do need to desperately restore these civil liberties.
You know, Patrick, you study this every day. You talk about it every day. You're on various television and radio programs. But I really am afraid that the naivete of the American public and the gullibility of the American public. And I'm not running people down. I'm just saying they have lives to lead, they have kids to raise, and right now with the coronavirus, everybody is being force-fed information. Have we lost our ability to stand up and make our leaders accountable? And in my case on this radio program, I should tell you this. I'm not at all scared, I guess you could say, to tell senators and congressmen I think they're wrong and basically grab the short end of the necktie and cinch it up and let them know that they better get to work. Americans don't seem to be doing that anymore.
They haven't, and there's an increasing resistance because of the coronavirus. I call it the Great Panic of 2020. There's a bit of awareness now that's starting to come into play, but even if successful at this, let's just say hypothetically that it's a dead-end street, that's all over, and some people are saying that, well, let's throw up and forget it. I tell people routinely, it's not an issue of whether you're going to win. It's an issue of we must do what's right, regardless of the odds, regardless of the circumstances, of the resistance. Those who know to do right don't do it. Those are the ones that will more likely bring our country down than the rest of the people combined.
We're looking at a situation right now, and your phone's cutting out just a little bit on us, Patrick. If you can hold it really still, I don't know if it's VoIPing out or what the problem is, but we are seeing politicians tell us, thou shalt stay in place, thou shalt lock your doors, thou shalt do this, you couldn't go anywhere, I don't want you to do this. I'm at a point at my age where I don't like being told what I can and can't do in the remaining years that God has given me on this great earth, but we're seeing the downfall and death of the greatest nation ever in the history of mankind, and nobody seems to really be standing up and fighting back.
Well, there certainly are a few, not enough, but there are a few people who are standing up. You're standing up, I'm standing up, and I know at least a half a dozen others. I say that facetiously. There are a lot of people that are starting to really stand up and be heard, but the problem is right now that the mainstream media and big tech, in particular with social, their control is so tight that you don't hear these other people anymore. And that's the issue of the First Amendment again. The people that have something to say are just suppressed. And so you might lose your Twitter account. You might lose your Facebook account. You might not be able to post letters to the editor anymore on a given story. And so the people that have something to say, unfortunately, are just being censored. And, of course, that is something that is First Amendment issue as well.
I'm probably going to go off the rails here a little bit, out into the tall grass, but bear with me. One of the gripes that I've had for a long, long time is what's happening on college campuses where the dictates of the college, be it University of Southern California or any college, saying, oh, no, you can't have free speech unless you go way over there behind the parking lot by the trash dump, and we'll paint a little circle on the ground and you can have a free speech zone over there. And people are buying into this idiocy.
Well, I know they shouldn't, but we've seen this happen all over the place, and especially on university campuses. It's absolutely unconstitutional. If it were challenged in court, it probably would be ruled unconstitutional. But when somebody stands up who's not elected, who's just, for instance, a university president or something, when they stand up and make these rules and regulations, they have no legal ground to stand on. They're not even subject to the laws, really, in one sense. They can just do whatever they want, and then it's up to somebody to challenge it in court if they don't like it. Well, whoever does that, they get away with it, and then another university comes along and says, well, UCLA did it, or USC did it, so I guess we can do it too. And you end up with a lot of people doing the same kind of stuff. This is what we've seen with the coronavirus as well. Governors and mayors and so on that would never have done or gotten away with stuff maybe 2 years ago, today it's routine. They're coming up with every cockeyed rule they can dream up and saying, if you don't obey me, we're sending the police out to your house.
Well, elaborate a little bit with me. I'm a Christian, and I'm proud of it, and I will go toe-to-toe and nose-to-nose with anybody that wants to go against that. However, the churches being closed down as non-essential, when at the same time, 24 hours later after the services on Sunday morning, they open up all the hardware stores and say, y'all come on in, this is lunacy.
It is, and again, this is a direct attack on the First Amendment and the freedom of expression of religion. And the government has no right to tell any church how they should conduct their affairs. They're supposed to be left to the church, left to the pastor, left to the people to decide what they want to do. But when the government starts to tell a church how they're allowed to practice their religion, that clearly is a violation of the First Amendment. So
right.
Now that churches are opening up, instead of just saying, okay, guys, go back to normal, you do whatever now, what they're saying that, well, it's conditions now. Oh, you have to be social distance in your church and put all the chairs 6 feet apart. Or you have to all wear face masks now. You can't go to church without a face mask on. Well, this is denial of the freedom to practice religion as you see fit. The state has no business telling churches how they can worship and how they should not worship.
But again, though, Patrick, when you say that, you and I are on the same page here, and I think we're kind of elbow to elbow on this thing. But churches today, and please, I hope I don't offend you by saying this, but churches and church leaders today, I think more so than ever before, have become very milquetoast, almost bordering on cowardice, and don't speak up. Would you agree or disagree?
I would absolutely agree with that, and this is one of the biggest problems today that I don't know if I should say most pastors and leaders of churches, but I think there's a vast number of them that are absolutely complicit with what the government tells them to do. They just don't care. Instead of listening to what the Bible tells them to do, they listen to what the government tells them to do. Well, I'll tell you what, the government can issue all the guidelines they want to issue, in which they're doing right now, of course, and how to start up your churches again. But the Bible has guidelines, too. And last time I checked, Christians are exhorted to follow what God says, not what the government says. And, so a lot of pastors need to line themselves up with the plumb line that we see in the Bible.
Amen.
We're not doing it right now.
Amen. You wrote a very interesting piece, I believe it was written by you or posted by you, about the use of face masks during this coronavirus. And I'd like you to elaborate a little bit on that because of the negative effects on the person wearing the face mask. Tell us about that, please.
Well, exactly. A lot of people, there's discussion on both sides of the fence in this. Some people think you absolutely have to wear a face mask, and you should, because you don't, if you care about anybody else other than yourself, you need to wear a face mask. So there's people on both sides of the fence. But here's our point in this. We want people to know the facts so that they can make an informed choice about their own health. That's not unrealistic. This is America, and if you know the facts and you're willing to take the risk of wearing a face mask, that's your business. God bless you. Go on, do what you want to do. People smoke, for instance. I don't go out and condemn people that smoke. If they want to smoke, then let them smoke. It's not good for your health, and the warnings on every pack of cigarettes, but that's their problem, not mine. So we put up this article called "Face Masks Pose Serious Risk to the Healthy." And a world-renowned neurosurgeon, Dr. Russell Blaylock, actually penned this article for us, explaining the facts of the matter. And the facts of the matter are that face masks are not something the healthy should ever wear, period, end of subject. And there are several risks involved. One is the fact that you have less oxygen going to your lungs, so you have the tendency towards oxygen deprivation. You can get headaches. You can get dizziness. You can get fatigue by wearing various kinds of face masks. And secondly, you're rebreathing things into your body that your body wanted to get rid of. That's why you breathe it out in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes through the study, and the studies that he's reviewed saying, well, what are the risks of breathing all these things back in that your body said get rid of? Well, it can not only make you sick, but can also provide a pathway for some of these things to get back into your brain. Well, I'm thinking about that. I said, I'm not going to wear a face mask. Now, if there are exceptions. If I go into a doctor's office and I know there's a bunch of sick people, maybe I would wear a face mask for 30 minutes. That wouldn't kill me. If I wanted to go into Costco and shop for 30 minutes, and they say, well, you have to wear a face mask. Well, I wouldn't die if I wear a face mask for 30 minutes. But all of the people now, the young people especially, that are required to wear face masks for their employment, like at Costco, for instance, these poor kids are pulling an 8 to 10 hour shift with a face mask on. This is not healthy, and that's what Dr. Blaylock is basically saying. This is absolute lunacy to require healthy people to wear a face mask on long periods of time that may well result in the harm of their own health, and that has nothing to do with coronavirus. It just is other things that happen when you wear these masks.
Well, the buildup of the bacteria and all the bad germs, if you will, and you know as well as I do, a lot of people say, well, you should wash it every so many hours, or you should rinse it out, etc. You know the younger generation is going to continually put on the same face mask and do the same toil every day. And your point about being unhealthy is absolutely well taken.
Well, I hope some people will make the right decision on this. And there's two sides to this. One is the people who are cursing and yelling profanities at people not wearing a mask. They need to stop that. That's just inappropriate. And the people that choose not to wear a mask should not, go out and browbeat the ones that are, but they should just refuse to play the role that right now that society and big business wants them to play. We were not required to wear face masks during the majority of the lockdown period in the last 2 months. All of a sudden, now that we're coming out of it, these same people are saying, well, now everybody needs to wear a face mask now. Well, that just proves it's a political issue more than a scientific issue for sure. And people like Dr. Blaylock now have just flat out documented and said it, that no, it is not healthy. And Blaylock even points out that the NIH, the National Institute of Health, up until recently recommended against healthy people wearing face masks.
That's right.
So all of a sudden they flip-flopped. And now they say, oh, everybody needs to wear a face mask now if they can. Well, it just shows you this is a political thing right now. It has nothing to do with the health of the people of America.
Patrick, I want to go back in the time I've got left, about 2 minutes, and I want to beleaguer this point a little bit, but with your study and research as Citizens for Free Speech, have you ever in your lifetime or during your job tenure doing this thought that people would be arrested for just sitting on a beach or running all by themselves in a park or sitting in a boat? Did you ever see or think that we'd have arrests for people doing something as innocuous as that? Never in my life. And I've been studying globalization and writing about it since 1976.
And I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of stuff come and go, a lot of water under the bridge, so to speak. I have never, ever in my life seen anything like this. And secondly, I've never, ever dreamed, well, I've dreamed actually, but most people have dreamed that this would be possible to. I think, honestly, that this is an expression of technocracy today. These people that are pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, most of them are hardcore technocrats. In other words, they have a certain mindset on using technology to control people. But this seems to be what's going on right now. And the fact that they were successful in closing down the global economy is just amazing. I mean, who has that kind of influence? Well, these people did, and they shut it down, and now, very possibly, the entire world is headed into the next Great Depression.
Yes.
This hasn't come out in the news yet, but the results of this are going to be felt pretty darn quickly.
I want to say how much I appreciate the executive director and founder of Citizens for Free Speech, Patrick Wood, for being on the program. And now that you've been here, you got a promise to come back in the future. God bless you, sir, and thank you for being on my program.
You're welcome, Zeb. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I really enjoyed having him on, and we're going to have him back. You can bet on that. Patrick Wood, thank you very much. Got to pay some bills and remind you about the Bennett Boys' great big auction coming up this Saturday. Oh, yeah. It's going to be over in Shoshone. It's the Larry and Carlene Hathaway semi-retirement auction. 11 o'clock Saturday. They'll bring the gavel down and start selling. That's over in Shoshone. 620 North, 200 West. Look for the auction signs, and lunch will be available. They're going to have tractors and trucks and pickups and all kinds of farm equipment, weed sprayers and hay equipment, New Holland harrow bed, old collectibles, miscellaneous, fence, all this and so much more at the Larry and Carlene Hathaway semi-retirement auction this Saturday, May 16th at 11 o'clock in Shoshone, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Quick reminder, too, about our dear friend Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. It's for sale. Yes, it is. It's a turnkey operation. I mean, you drive up and you say, all this is for sale? That's right, the building and everything else in it and everything. And not only that, being a turnkey business operation, Doug will train the new owner. You can't beat that. You better get a hold of him today. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. And the number 878-4991. Or call 431-5282. Like I said, it's a turnkey business operation for you. Great business opportunity. For sale, Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. In just a moment, I'm going to send this back over to our dear friend Wheels. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, too, about our friends at Patterson's Electronics. And it goes without saying that they really know electronics. They know all the different gizmos and all the different equipment. I mean, man, for me to sit here as a cowboy and tell you about all the different electronic products and how they work, can't do it. I can tell you that they've got the best in home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, the very best of televisions from Samsung, it's with an S, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, all of this and more. Curtis and Lorena are really, really nice people. Get a hold of them today. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and the number 678-6997. Right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you. Don't forget, on Mondays at 10:30, we've got the special segment with Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. How does your garden grow? Well, she'll tell you at 185 South 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. All your gardening plants, all the info, everything to help you have a successful gardening season. Vicky's Country Garden. And they're on here at 10:30 Mondays, Zeb at the Ranch. Want to remind you, too, about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the staff over there. They are now back on their regular hours. Absolutely. No appointments needed. Open the door, walk on in. 40 to 50% off on everything in the store. Spring cleaning, you better believe it. I mean, the best of carpet and all your floor coverings and your furniture and your sofas and your recliners. What are you waiting for? Jump in the pickup, Martha and John, and head on down to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 10 to 5. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And I believe I've had this gentleman on about 2 or 3 times in the past, and he is the founder and executive director of Power the Future. Can't wait to have him back on the program again this morning. Daniel Turner, good morning to you.
It is great to be back on with you and your listeners. Thanks for having me on again.
I'm going to start this thing off a little differently this morning, Daniel. I'm just going to come right out and say I think America, in general, is being duped and led through our school systems and through our churches and through other means that we are to accept green energy and do away with something as reliable as the fossil fuels, and we're in a heap of trouble. How would you respond to that?
I would say you are completely accurate, and that's been my experience, and that's actually part of the reason why I started this organization, to advocate for this industry and for the millions of men and women who work in this industry, what it means to us, our economy, our national security. And you're right, there's a lot of false information about green technology that comes from schools. It does come from churches. I'm a Catholic. My Pope talks about it all the time. And it's just not true, and it's deceiving, and it's a lot of false information out there.
Let me ask you, how did this get started? I mean, where did the hatred for fossil fuels, where did the hatred for our energy system, where did the hatred for a replenishing supply that will never run out of, basically, and I underline the word never, not for probably thousands of years, where did all this start, and who really started it?
You know, I have always believed that the reason why so many on the left hate the energy industry is because it is one of the few industries left that is not run by the state. It is privately held. It's public in the sense that any person can buy stock in an energy company, right? They're publicly traded companies, some of them, but it is not state-run. When you look at the history of totalitarian leaders, from literally Joseph Stalin up until Venezuela's last dictator and the Maduro regime and the Hugo Chavez regime, when you look at the history of totalitarian leaders, one of the very first things they do is they take over the energy industry. They nationalize it. And I think leftists who love to nationalize everything, look at Obamacare,
yeah.
They hate the fact that this very important industry is in the hands of the private sector and not in their hands. It's about power.
When you look at the green energy industry, solar and wind primarily, and all the acres that it takes and destroys for aesthetic value in our country, for solar panels and for those terribly ugly, I call them cancer sticks, the wind turbines, why aren't more people being outraged as to the ruination of the aesthetic value of America when they're talking about multi-hundred or thousands of acres of solar panels, and the same with wind turbines? This is ridiculous.
It really is. And when you look at how little it produces, I mean, it is an incredibly inefficient technology. When you look at how much, in terms of kilowatts, how much is necessary for consumption and to keep a house running, to keep a city running, in terms of what these farms are able to produce. And here's the best example. I'll give you two. There's construction underway for an 8,000-acre solar farm outside of Las Vegas. 8,000 acres is a pretty good-sized farm, right? It's going to produce about 700 megawatts of electricity. Well, Las Vegas uses around 7,000 megawatts of electricity. So if you need 8,000 acres to produce 1/10 of the electricity, why is that better than a 2-acre coal plant or a 2-acre natural gas plant with a heck of a lot smaller footprint, right? So you're right, it does destroy the land. It's bad for habitats. It's bad for animals. It's sometimes encroaching on public land, natural beauty, sacred indigenous peoples, homeland, etc. But it's not even producing enough power to do what we needed to do. So why do we continue to go forward?
Well, let me say this, and I'm going to ask you, Daniel, the connection on the phone's not real good, so I'm going to ask you to really hold that phone still and speak really into it. We've had a little weak connection this morning. But the duping of the American public into all the way from the kindergarten, where they'll show the flowers and the bunny rabbits and the trees full of birds and everything. Oh, the wonders of green energy, but really it is not going to do the job.
No, it's not. And the funny thing about a wind turbine, and you mentioned wind, so I gave a solar example. Here's a wind example. One wind turbine requires around 2,500 tons of cement. Right? They have to be anchored into the ground. Otherwise, they will take off, right? 2,500 tons of cement. They have about 600 tons of steel because the machine itself is steel. The rebar underground is steel. That pit that they're digging is not going to ever be dug up and removed. If you can make all of this steel, all of this cement, both of which require a ton of coal, if you know anything about how to make steel and how to make cement, you know how much coal is required. If you can use all these fossil fuels for one wind turbine, why can't you use these fossil fuels for electricity? No one's ever been able to answer that question for me.
Amen. You know, I don't know if you've followed this or not, but I have been having a verbal war with our own Idaho Power. I, a couple of months ago, invited them on the program to discuss their proposal of going totally green in about 20 years. And their representatives hid under their desk and would not answer me or get on my program and answer questions about green energy, proving that their energy program going green energy is nothing more than cowardice and duping the American public, especially the citizens of our state of Idaho.
You're absolutely right, and that's why these politicians that go forward with these plans give dates so far in the future, 2040, 2050, because they know by the time those deadlines come, they will long be out of power. It will be somebody else's problem, but right now, they get to go on the campaign trail and say, I have put forward $1 billion to make Idaho green. And they get all the applause from the left, and they get money from Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer, and they know in their heart of hearts that it is all a bunch of lies. So they kick the can down the road 20, 30 years for someone else to deal with.
You know, let me ask you this, Daniel, and you're closer to this than anybody I know, but is this problem with a very poor education system in the kindergartens all the way up to the university system of condemnation and damnation of fossil fuels, is this reversible, or are we on a one-lane road into obscurity of getting rid of fossil fuels and living with nothing more than the not reliable green energy?
You know, I think it is reversible, but it really comes down to the power of the individual and the power of the family. And here's what I mean by that. For all of the moms and dads right now who are listening to your great show, who are home with their kids, and they are on Zoom calls, and their kids are doing remote learning, ask them how all that's possible. Right? The products themselves, their computers, their phones, their laptops, are all derivatives of petrochemicals. They're all made from oil. Right? The actual internet, which is connecting them, is electricity, and that's powered by fossil fuels. Right? We are getting delivery to our homes from Amazon. FedEx is dropping off our packages. Our farms are still producing food. All of our life, the joy of our life in America, the highest quality of life in the history of mankind, all of it is possible because we have an abundance of reliable, inexpensive domestic fossil fuels. And so we can reverse that trend to say, do you want to give that up? Look, I have no problem with people who want to live a green life. But if you want to mandate that I live a green life, you have to start living it. And that means get rid of your car. That means unplug from the electric grid. That means no more plastics. That means raise your own fruits and vegetables and animals, but don't use fertilizer, because fertilizer is a petrochemical and it comes from oil. So if you start living that life, then you can mandate that I live that life. We have to start teaching our kids about the benefits that come from fossil fuels and fight back against this liberal curriculum that's trying to indoctrinate them with a bunch of lies.
You know, I want to elaborate on a point you just made, and I want to go a little further on this about the electrical grid. I honestly don't believe, and again, it's up to your scrutiny to tell me if I'm wrong. I don't believe most Americans really understand the electrical grid, the complexities of the grid, and the pushing of electric vehicles and cars. They don't understand. They think they can just plug that thing in, and there's always going to be electricity there on demand 24/7, 365. But what about our grid that's being overtaxed and the coal plants that are being shut down? It's not going to be the most reliable circumstance in the future, is it?
No, and you have to look at other countries that are having this problem right now. Europe, which is the leader of the green world, they pay 3 and 4 times what we pay for their electricity. And if any of your great listeners have ever been there, well, they're probably not paying electric bills, but maybe they rented a car when they were in London or when they were in Italy, and they saw what they pay for petrol, and then they realized it wasn't a gallon, it was a liter. And you say, how in the heck is it possible that you guys pay 4 times what we pay in America? That's the cost of going green. In the great state of the great country of Australia, they got rid of their last prime minister because he pushed a green agenda, and the city of Melbourne was starting to have brownouts. And enough people in Melbourne said, wait a second, this isn't some third world sub-Saharan country. How can we have brownouts in Melbourne? Because we are going green. And they didn't want it, and they rejected it, and they got rid of their prime minister. And so that is the future of America. It's not going to work. Los Angeles has regular brownouts. People may remember Dodgers games where the stadium would turn off at night. It's not going to work, and it's going to be incredibly expensive. So it's a lose-lose.
You know, Daniel, I want you to elaborate a little bit on I am not impressed with the mental capacity of a lot of our legislators, senators and congressmen, one of which I enjoy really giving a scathing review to almost every day, is the stupidity of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I don't think's seen anything in the world except the bottom of an empty whiskey bottle as a bartender. And quite frankly, she was beaming when she thought that oil companies were going to go broke. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, it was really disappointing, right? And she did what all rookie politicians do. And if you're new to that game, you're going to make this mistake. And what she did was she was way too honest. She let all of her cards be seen. And so she did celebrate that energy companies were going bankrupt. And she said, you absolutely love to see it. And then she had to delete the tweet, and she had to explain how it was being mischaracterized by racist men like us who don't like her, a person of color, etc. Standard leftist response, right? But she did reveal an awful lot of truth. So they hate the energy industry. And again, they hate it for that very first question you asked me. Why do they hate it? Because it is in private hands. They think everything should be controlled by them. They think everything should be controlled by government, by senators, congresspeople, Washington, D.C., and they hate the fact that this is a private industry. If it were such a great technology, and I have nothing against it, it's fascinating, it's interesting, if it were such a great investment, it would not require the government mandating people use it, right? And you look at the history of America, I don't remember the government mandating a thing called Amazon, and yet, boy, oh boy, is it giving Walmart a run for its money. And speaking of Walmart, I don't remember government mandating a thing called Walmart, and boy, did it give Sears a run for its money, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Successful industries never need government to compel you to use them. So the green energy world is proof. If it were that great, there's a lot of rich people who would invest in it, and they don't seem to be doing that.
What about the future? Real quick, I've only got a couple of minutes left, and I don't want to put you on the political stage if you don't want to be, but this next election to me is extremely critical. I mean, there is absolutely no choice on the left. Biden, he can't be president. Whoever he picks as a running mate probably will be, but each and every one of those people have vowed their hatred towards fossil fuels and our current energy system. It scares me to death. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. And look, Joe Biden has been very on the record showing showing his disdain for the energy industry. He has a quote that said, "There is no place for fossil fuels in my administration." He has promised to ban fracking. He has promised to shut down all of coal. Those are some pretty hyperbolic statements that even Barack Obama would not make, and Hillary Clinton certainly did not talk it, especially in fracking. She supported fracking because she wanted votes in Ohio and Pennsylvania. And so I don't see how Joe Biden thinks he's going to win Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Colorado, some of those really, really purple states that he will need when he has told hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that he wants to take away their job. So he's going to have a hard time reconciling that when it comes closer to the election.
You know, Daniel, you're one of the best I've had on this program talking about energy, and I certainly hope that you will come back soon. Daniel Turner, the founder and executive director of Power of the Future. God bless you, my friend. Please, I'll come back. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, sir. Daniel Turner, telling it like it is, and that's what we need, people that tell it like it is. The idiocy, and that's what it is. I'm not going to hedge on anything. It's idiocy of green energy. I mean, the flowers and the birds and the flowers and all the blue sky, oh my. It's not working that way. Want to remind you about Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. What nice people. What a great place to eat. Holy smokes. They've got curbside available and call-in orders. And don't forget, they really were great to the trucking industry. They set up a food trailer at 2500 Washington across from Fabrical, and they're serving all the truckers over in that area. And believe me, these folks really are great. Edith's Cafe. And they do catering. My goodness sakes, they do a wonderful job. Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. And the telephone number to call, 878-2248. Their hours, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 8. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. Don't forget, great food, great people, Edith's Cafe. Right now, we're going to do the weather forecast, and then after that, I have time for a call or two. I lost my weather. Hello, where did my weather go? It's brought to you by Scarro's Meats, out of memory, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the crew, number to call, 324-7657, and believe me, all the delicious meats from Scarro's Meats. Got a upcoming family group gathering. Maybe you're getting all ready for Memorial Day or whatever. Oh, delicious meats. All the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips and the hams and the sausages. It's phenomenal. Scarro's Meats over in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
The spring storm system is going to be sticking around for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies, few rain showers, maybe some thunder bumpers by this afternoon, and it is going to be a little bit on the breezy side. High of 61. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By tomorrow, looks like a 50% chance of showers, mostly in the afternoon. Clouds are going to stick around as well with a high of 61. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with a low of 41. By Friday, we will see some sunshine and a high of 63. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you. Good job. And again, sponsored by Scarro's Meats. Hello, Don and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat. Oh, yeah. One delicious bite at a time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, when people like Ocasio-Cortez or Pelosi, and they talk about, you know, giving people money and they don't even ever have to work, and you say to yourself, you know, I know they're not that dumb. I know that they want to eat. I know that they have to have, their buildings have to be maintained where they live, or their houses. They have to haul away the garbage. There's so many things that have to happen. I say to myself, how is it that anybody could be so lame to have say something like that, or to believe that somebody would believe that was a possibility? If there was just a little bit of proactivity on their part, and they were to You say, look what happened. Venezuela was rich. The people were happy. They, per capita, it was the richest country in South America by far. They are starving. They can't even get toilet paper. They're starving to death.
But wait a minute, Randy, stop. Listen to me. In addition to what you just said, they are also now controlled. The government has control. That's what happens with socialism. That's what happens when you let evil dictates take over a nation and say you will, and you have no power. The United States has the greatest Constitution and the greatest amendments to that Constitution. And we're going to lose that if we don't stand up and raise our fist and say enough is enough.
Well, it's just like with Bullard and the cattle industry and these meat packing plants and what they are doing to our cattlemen. It's like he said, the sheep industry has been destroyed.
Yep.
The pig industry has been almost destroyed. The chicken. I mean, seriously, when do we stop these people? We just keep thinking somebody else is going to do our job for us.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just one upset man who tries to do everything he can do. And I just all I can do is take care of me and my family and try to reach out and be informed. And but we all got to work together, and you just wonder when they're going to get off their phone and decide to do something.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. That's the one thing I want to compliment you on the air about. You're always involved and trying to help, and I appreciate that. Randy, I got to run, but thank you so much. You bet, buddy. Don't forget, tomorrow at 11:30 to 1, we're going to be over at Denny's parking lot. That's right, Denny's Restaurant America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley for the big parking lot picnic. Oh, my goodness. Drive in. They'll run out and they'll serve you a club sandwich with fries and a soft drink, and you pay. They'll bring you back the change. We're all going to sit in the parking lot. We're going to honk our horns at each other. Come on, have some fun, be supportive. The parking lot picnic at Denny's Restaurant tomorrow, 611 North Overland in Burley from 11:30 to 1. Absolutely. Going to run the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most: in God we trust. Have a great day. Tune us in tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. God bless.